The SQE one. It's this huge, intimidating thing hanging over every aspiring solicitor's head. I just sat mine and I have no idea if I've passed.
It's SQE one tomorrow! I'm so excited for the fucking team! I'm like, I'm the learned. Didn't learn from the fucking one.
This is what it was actually like. Hi everyone, my name is Leeks and I am a 6th year solicitor apprentice. I just sat SQE 1. As I'm filming this, I have no idea if I've passed. So this isn't a video giving you tips. It's a video showing you what it's like to take the exam. Let's start before I took the exam. There was so much fear-mongering around SQE1. Things on a lot of different social media websites talking about how hard the exam was, how stressed people were. The pass rates were not the most encouraging. People are coming out of the exam in tears, you know, just talking about how terrible it was. And this comes through not just social media, but also people I've interacted with in real life. There was just this really strong rhetoric of fear around SQE1. Like, before you even have started to revise, it's like the likelihood of you passing is so low, and if you pass, it's coming out the cost of your life. Am I the only one who felt that way? So the provider that I was with because of my apprenticeship was the University of Law. They provided their online module guides. They also had videos as well. They were short clips of and about the law and talking about, you know, just basic legal concepts. And then they also had like a prepare, engage, consolidate set up where you could interact with the content. I think probably best for people who didn't really understand certain legal concepts. You could go deeper, but I felt like the books were enough for me. And also they had this question bank which had a huge amount of questions, I think maybe around 5,000 or so, which was really helpful. So the way it was set up and the way they tracked our progress was that you had to complete the weekly practice tests. To be honest, there was some weeks I did not do the reading and I still took the weekly practice test. So I was working and I was studying at the same time. I was working 4 days a week and 1 day was given for study and also portfolio preparation. If you're not an apprentice, the portfolio doesn't really matter, but basically you had to, previously it was a 9,000 word, basically like kind of dissertation style, but different in the sense that you actually also had to provide evidence of your work. So I've never actually studied for just SQE1. I've always been doing portfolio preparation at the same time. In addition to that, I started SQE1 prep a year ago. So I had a year to prepare for all of the content. Now, at first I was like, a year, like that's quite long for this exam, especially because I know there were lots of people who started studying 3 to 6 months before they started their exam. And to be honest, I think it's different in the case of an apprentice just because you have so much to juggle all at the same time. And I'm not gonna lie, it's relentless. So at first I was like, this seems like a lot of time, but whilst we were getting into the content, I was like, no, I actually need all of this time because I'm never just doing SQE prep. I'm always working, I'm always preparing for the portfolio. I'm always, if it's not one portfolio, it's another portfolio. So these things were like going on in the back of my mind. I am a morning worker. It is currently 5:04 p.m. a.m. That's crazy. It's 5:04 a.m. So there was absolutely no way that I was going to do evenings from like 6 till 10. That was, after work, team, I had no energy to give for studying. I really did try to do the after work thing until quite late because I finished work relatively early. I finished at 4 p.m. for the fact that I can study like a little bit after work. I like to sleep early and I wake up early. So I woke up around 4 to 5 a.m. and then I would study before work. I would take the bus to work, which is, it's a long journey, but I was like, whilst I'm on the bus, I can always be doing practice questions, readings, or watching videos. So I was like revising on my way to work and on my way home from work. So that's 3 hours at least. Sometimes I would also do the reading, during my lunch break. This was a little bit harder sometimes because work can be really intense. I work in a law firm. there can be quite a few deadlines and urgent things that come up. So sometimes the pressure is on. I don't have capacity to do that. But the morning times were really a time, especially the days when I worked from home, they were really I would get a mock test in, I would do quite a bit of the reading, and then obviously one of the days I had off just to study, which was a Friday, and I had also the rest of the weekend to study. I didn't usually take the bus to and from work, but I changed my routine to accommodate extra study time. I did only use the University of Law's resources until the tail end of my revision. And when I say tail end, I mean quite literally 3 days before the exam. I was on the SRA's website and I was reading through the questions. I went through them with a fine-tooth comb. I did both of the mocks, FLK1, FLK2, and I combed through all of them. I was like, the ones I got right, the ones I got wrong, and I knew why I got them wrong, the ones I got wrong and I didn't know why I got them wrong, and the ones I got right and I didn't know why I got them right, and ones I was like, I have no idea what this is. So all the ones I was unsure about, I went back through my textbooks. I was thinking, even though ULaw has such a large bank, I was like, it's good to have a variety so that I don't get too used to one way of them asking questions. And this is no shade on ULaw, because actually they have a very diverse question bank, but I then honestly just started to ask different AI sources to generate questions. I don't think I'm allowed to like talk about specific brands of AI, so I'll just be super generic. One of them I didn't feel, even though it was popular, I didn't really feel like it addressed what I wanted it to. And I used a very specific prompt as well, which I'll get to in a second. The second one, it was okay actually, but there were definitely some answers where I was like, that is not correct. Like, I know this is not correct. And I appreciate that it's a single best answer and not multiple choice. Well, it's supposed to be single best answer. And you know, there's wiggle room, but in my opinion, I was like, this is definitely wrong. So I was going back and forth with AI, trying to make sure that I was not going to be dragged away by whatever this came up with. And then there was one that really shocked me. Actually, it was really good. I think much less well known. And the prompts that I used was everyone is saying it's really hard, which means that I don't think any prep course is going to perfectly mimic what the actual exam is like. So I'm not going to break my brain to come up with new questions. And I used to do this in GCSE, actually. When I was doing GCSE French, I used to create my own questions because I ran out of past papers, like the application of the law. I also really want to preface this with the fact that I didn't do a law LLB. I did do a qualifying law degree, but it was in, I think, legal practice and skills, which I literally cannot express how similar that was to SQE1. I also want to say that as well. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the exam day itself. I first of all must preface this with the fact that everyone who took that exam signed an NDA. So I know there are people asking me online like specifics about the exam and all this kind of stuff. I'm not going to be talking about that, but I will do my best to be as like helpful as possible. So if you don't know, the SQE1 exam is carried out on a computer, and expecting my test center to be so nice, because I've heard even this year of some not so good test center stories. The test center I had, it was, you know, very nice, to be honest with you. I didn't know what to expect, but I kind of was expecting the worst. And I had a really nice invigilator. He was so lovely. I have dyslexia, which means that I applied for reasonable adjustments a good few months before, to be honest with you, maybe like 5 or 6. I should have done it earlier, but was it 6 months before or 8 months before? So I was able to get like extra time and breaks. I think there may have been something else, like read and write software, something for the software to speak the questions to you. And then I think the same as everyone else, or most people, there was like a whiteboard and a pen. Yeah, I think I was really blessed to turn my nerves into excitement. Out to the girlies in the test center, They were so lovely. Honestly, love you guys. You were so sweet. And I think I came in with super positive energy. I was like, this is gonna go really well. I hope that I was encouraging to people. I was like, I'm so excited to take this exam. And I filmed videos on both FLK1 and FLK2, which are on the Apprentice-ish TikTok. Yeah, I was just saying how excited I am. I was like, you know, when you've been preparing for something for such a long time, you're like, let's go, like this is gonna be great. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I think everyone, definitely based on TikTok, some people found the first half of the exam easier than the second half, vice versa. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. In my breaks for both FLK1 and FLK2, I got on my knees and I prayed to Jesus Christ because I was in awe. I was quite literally in awe. Team, I don't even know what to say. I desperately wish I could go into more detail, but I just don't know if there's any prep course out there that could genuinely prepare you for how challenging this exam is. What I will say is you definitely need to know the foundational legal knowledge. That is extremely helpful, but your law degree is not enough. Understanding the legal principles is not enough. You must know how to apply them in several different circumstances. Setting a house on fire is illegal. You might know the actus reus and the mens rea for that, but you don't know what else they could add, remove, or what angle they could be coming from when asking about setting a house on fire. I think that atmosphere in the test center at first was tense, and then as the day went on, people kind of relaxed. Some people accepted that they're gonna have to take this exam again. I feel like I came out of both of those exams, I was exhausted, and my gap between the first and the second exam was 1 week. And I was like, okay, this is gonna be great. I'm gonna have so much time to study. I pulled a muscle in the first exam.
Wow.
Literally got worse as the exam went on, like the second half. I was in so much pain. I literally couldn't study for 2 days. Like I just laid there. I literally just laid. I couldn't. Then after that, obviously I was studying. And then I think 2 days before the exam, I got sick. Before FLK2, I got sick. And I was like, you know, there's definitely some concepts that I want us to go over, but I need to make sure that I'm fully rested for this exam because it's such a long and exhausting time. So I finished both of those exams, right? Team, the level of exhaustion I felt after sitting both of those exams was unlike anything I'd ever done before. And this is me saying that after I've been studying and working for the last 5.5 years. I'm in my 6th year now. Out of the entire law degree, out of doing my dissertation, when I literally had a suspected cancer diagnosis over my head, I don't think I've ever experienced exhaustion like I did after SQE1. And this is not to scare anyone. This is literally just to strongly encourage anybody who's doing it. Take time off of work after the exam, because I didn't do that. I did not do that. I just kept going. Sorry, my alarm went off. I hadn't taken time off after the exam. And then a personal situation happened that was very emotionally draining. And to be honest with you, I think this was probably the first time in my life where I literally had nothing to give. I had just enough energy to get up, go to work, shower, come back home. I think one of my biggest pet peeves was, and I really hope no one takes offense to this, but one of my biggest pet peeves whilst preparing for SQE1 was anyone who had ever taken the LPC talking about how hard it was for them to work and study at the same time. And I honestly mean this in the nicest way. LPC is nothing like SQE1. I know some people saying online that they weren't able to get, or even just like other people's experiences, they weren't able to get like the full hour break. I was able to get a full hour break. I think I spent 55 minutes and then walked back to where I needed to be on time. I took all of my breaks. I took all of my extra time. Yeah, I know that. I was saying all of that honestly just to say, like, I was utterly exhausted, and I think it's a month after SQE1, like the month after I've taken that exam, I'm only just now starting to recover. Like, I can't even, the exhaustion doesn't hit you all at once. It's like the tension and anxiety and stress has been building up in your body over a number of weeks and months. And then once it's done, it's like all of it comes day after day. And yeah, I was not okay. I was not okay. But I think finally, like, I'm coming back to myself and I'm building more strength, and I'm now redirecting some of that to SQE, to be honest with you. I know some people are really anxious about getting their results, but I'm not one of those people. I think I'm kind of just taking each day as it comes. And to be honest, I didn't have the energy to stress about the results being like over a month away. So yeah, results day is coming up in September. I probably will be filming a video about opening my SQE1 results. Either if not here, then it will be on TikTok. But yeah, let me know in the comments how you're feeling about it. Right now I'm preparing for SQE2, as I'm sure many of us are. But yeah, anyone who is taking SQE1, please do not fear. Like, I know there's a lot of fear mongering online. Just focus as best as you can on what is in front of you, using the resources that you have. I am sending you all my love, and I will see you in the next video.